I played in the first ever Stormgate show match at DreamHack Atlanta, and I became the champion. This is how I did it.
Guys, let's make some noise. We're ready to get into the first ever casted Stormgate show match here with TLO versus Mana.
Here we go, I'm starting the best of 3 versus TLO, my first time on stage in Atlanta, the very first time Stormgate is being shown to the public in a show match. So I'm playing best of 3 versus TLO, who was also one of the very first people who get to play Stormgate in the pre-alpha directly at the Frost Giant studio, so he had a very good understanding about the game, how it works. I'm not sure how much he has played after these tests. I definitely played a lot. I had around 80 to 90 hours in all the playtests currently in Stormgate, and I was practicing quite hard to show myself quite well in this show match. I started to main Infernals as soon as they were available in the playtests. In this game, I was trying to go for a fast expansion build after the Iron Vault. I was very happy to see that TLO did not get to block my expansion with this scout, the little dog that you could see there. Most of the times, the Vanguard players get to block that expansion for like 5 to 10 seconds. Then you have to produce a Brute, which is a relatively slow unit, but you can split it into these 2 Fiends that you can see right now, which are faster than the scout, and you can chase it away. So I basically saved myself a couple of seconds in here. We're playing on a map Secluded Grove, which is I would say like one of the most standard maps. Actually, there's it's very hard to say which maps are standard and non-standard standard in Stormgate, but it feels relatively standard for now. Not too many creep camps or anything like that. I started also with a little bit of harassment here with these Fiends, just trying to get myself any kind of damage. I was able to get a Bob, and now I force the Overcharge, which makes these Bobs with like a little bit more armor and more damage, so they're like much more sturdy. It's like a defensive tool for the Vanguards. I can come around a little bit more further with the Fiends. I wanted to see if he's adding additional barracks or whatever. I see that he's mining the gas equivalent, the Therium, which makes me think that he's probably going to be opening up with the Hedgehogs, that like the very fast cars for the Vanguard. It's also very popular in the meta. In the meantime, I was expanding, producing workers, producing a couple of brutes. The thing about Infernal production is that you don't produce them like in any other RTS, or well, not in StarCraft at the very least. You basically, when you create a production structure, be it Iron Vault or just any kind of production structure, you gain charges of the units, which means that you can have stored like I think up to 3 charges in any production facilities, and you can produce these units instantly. It takes like a half a second to build a unit. Doesn't matter if it's a worker or a very high tier unit or anything like that. So it's a definitely different mechanic than what is used to StarCraft. Somewhat similar to Protoss, I suppose, as in Warpgate, but you can produce any unit out of that, but not on any side of the map. They still come out near the production facilities. I built a couple of brutes here, secured a vision camp, which gives me vision on the minimap, as you can see. I have this little circle around the map. I split my brutes in 2 to see if there's any kind of counterattack happening, and it's time for me to put some pressure on my opponent with a couple of brutes. I can always turn them into Fiends, and the Fiends are very quick, very high DPS, so it's nice to keep the brutes as brutes to deal damage, and then once they're about to die, you kind of split them. I made a small mistake here. My brute kind of wandered forward, and TLO surrounded it immediately. I split it into the 2 Fiends, but one Fiend got trapped, I didn't do that much damage there. In the meantime, what they didn't show you here, I am splitting a couple of my Fiends to the main base of TLO. You can see that on the minimap. I think I got like Bob or 2 there, so there's like additional harassment happening right there in the main base of TLO, so that's why he's kind of distracted. I think I had like 6 or 4 Fiends there dealing some damage, and in the meantime I saw that this mech bay is kind of exposed. You can see TLO kind of blocked himself from repairing it with the habitat and the barracks at the bottom of it. So even though I was not supposed to get this mech bay destroyed, I got it simply because of a slight wall mistake from my opponent, that he didn't get to surround his mech bay and repair it with enough bobs. I tried to get some more damage here with the Fiends, but the repair is good enough, and the Hedgehog doesn't die. The other Hedgehog, I tried to kill it and I got it, which is quite nice. One thing to point out also, the repair is free in Stormgate for Vanguard, so whenever you're repairing your own units, it doesn't cost money, just like like in StarCraft 2. So unlike in StarCraft 2, it's completely free. It only wastes you the mining time of the mobs, and the repair is quite quick. Of course, you can stack the repair with just like StarCraft 2. You can also stack build units, not units, buildings, just like you can see here. TLO got to pull like 5 or 6 mobs to build the command center a little bit faster. Now, the thing is about this matchup of Infernal versus Vanguards, Infernal units are relatively slow, well, other than the Fiends. The Fiends are very, very quick, but they are still slower than the Hedgehogs. So the meta for the matchup of Vanguard versus Infernal consists of pretty much rushing the Hedgehogs. As you can see, these card units, they're very, very quick, and like kiting the Infernal units as much as possible. I don't really have any range units other than the guns that you can see in the middle of the map right there. They're like the little trolls in there. But the range is not that high, and they're relatively slow as well. So what I decided to do is, rather than trying to fight the micro of Hedgehogs versus Infernal units, I split a couple of my Fiends to the other side of the map to see if my opponent is expanding in any other location. I see he has not expanded here. I just also wanted to make sure that my opponent is paying attention anywhere else than on the Hedgehogs, because it's kind of easy, you know, to just move forward, shoot with the Hedgehogs a little bit, then pull back. So I just wanted to sacrifice a couple of my Fiends here just to buy myself time in order to create more units for the future. I see a well-saturated base for TLO. He also followed my Fiends, and you can see I have a third base ready. Nicely saturated, not fully saturated yet, but it's on the way. So now the Hedgehogs were not trading with my units whatsoever, so these Fiends bought me enough time to get my third expansion going, more production facilities, and I'm slowly going to be transitioning into the Magmadons and Gaunt upgrade, which are necessary to fight versus the high number of Hedgehogs from the Vanguard. The Magmadons have this ability of charge, but I'll talk about it a little bit later. I also wanted to rush into the upgrade for Gaunts. I don't even remember the name, but just the upgrade Gaunts that costs 10 health. And what it does, it speeds up the Gaunt by about 50%, so it's kind of like a stim. And it also allows you to infest the units that are attacked by Gaunt. And then once the unit is dead, while it's infested by the Gaunt, it spawns one Fiend from the dead unit. So it's a very good upgrade to have used while the units are quickly to die. Now you can see these two elephant things, that these are the Magmadons, and they are still slow, but they have the charge ability. They have a lot of HP, and once they charge on a unit, they can stun the unit for, I think it's half a second. So it's not a long stun, but you can lock the Hedgehogs or any kind of units in place for just a moment to, you know, make a killing blow or to stun them to stop attacking for a little bit. In the meantime, you can see how Hedgehogs are microable here. It's very hard for me to fight them. My units are relatively slow, so it's important to get like a flank on Hedgehogs or something like that to make sure that they don't do damage for free. I also set up a couple of tower defenses here, a meat farm and a shroud stone. The meat farm is like the supply building for the Infernals. It also produces these little Fellhogs, which are free units. You cannot really control them, but they provide you with supply, and there's like a little bit of damage. They're like a defensive unit that you cannot control. Nice micro here by TLO, sniping my Magmadon here, but I am on the way for my very first attack. My upgrade for the guns has finished, so it's time for me to micro a little bit. Now you can see the guns are like with this little blue aura right here. So that means that I have done the upgrade. I've used the upgrade, so I'm fighting faster. Now the gun attacks also infest the units. Now TLO used the Bob Overcharge, which is a very strong tool of Vanguard. They basically don't want to fight the Vanguard once the Overcharge is activated, because the Bobs are really strong, very sturdy. They take a lot, like they can tank a lot of damage while they also deal a lot of damage. So basically, you want to wait it out. I was surprised by how many units TLO was able to produce at this time. He has a lot of Lancers with an upgrade as well. The Lancer has an upgrade here where the more you attack him, the faster attack speed they have and the faster movement speed they have. So basically, they're like a very good tank unit, and they are the front line. And when you attack them, they move faster and they attack faster. So they're a very good tanking unit right there. Yeah, the fight goes on. I use the infest on the guns. You can see a little bit of Fiends here on the top side, but TLO kind of defends here. The infest ability was used, and I see the very first Vulcan, which is a great unit versus the Infernals. It has a lot of DPS, a lot of attack speed once it starts attacking. It's relatively slow, so it's important to not to let them fight where they are comfortable fighting. So like it's important to move out of the fight once the Vulcans are rolling or attacking, so you can disengage. So TLO defense, my first big attack. Meanwhile, I am on 3 bases, about to produce my 4th base. But I killed some of the mobs. I didn't feel that the game is going very poorly for me. In the meantime, I also produced my 5th base in the center, and which gives me the opportunity to mine from both resources at the same time, the Illuminite and the Therium. It's like a greedy gold base in the middle. Yeah, this is my 4th base that I produced just in case I would lose the middle base, but this is the middle base. Very important. You can see 2 Illuminite, I don't know, gold mines? I don't know how to call it. Just just 2 mines of Luminite and the 2 sets of Luminite here as well. I'm trying to set up some static defenses here, and I have created a second army. As you can see, I have a lot of guns there, a couple of Magmadons, a little bit of brutes here for tanking. I'm checking if TLO has the 4th base at the left side of the map. He doesn't have it. I charge forward with my Magmadon. I see a couple of Vulcans, but let's try to find some damage here for the second engagement. And I come in here. I see a lot of Vulcans, but I think I can trade a little bit here. I see a big amount of Lancers, lots of Vulcans, both Overcharge activated, so I try to retreat, but I lose a couple of my Magmadons and I lose another one. And I'm on the retreat, and I feel like, holy crap, I think I might be about to lose this game, or at least not necessarily the game, but lose this fight quite convincingly. So I try to kite backwards right now with my guns and a couple of reinforcements coming in. And this is the fight that will change the course of the game a little bit. So TLO thinks he's winning the fight very convincingly, but now I went to the Shroud, I regenerated some of my health. I have a good position to fight. Vulcans are very, very slow. So I use the cons in fast as well. I charge with the Magmadons. Now the Vulcans cannot attack while they're moving, so I chase TLO down, and this was my first very good engagement, where TLO kind of overextended with his army. The Vulcans were not in the right position. They were at the front. You don't want them at the front, because then they're quite easily snipeable. So I was quite happy to turn this around. By the way, you guys can see this a lot of like rally points. Remember, this is just the Stormgate closed beta. This is not a final game, so there's the replay functionality is not complete, so try to ignore that. Basically, the replay shows like every rally point of a production structure for both of these players. It's not a big deal. I go for the third attack from the right side this time with multiple guns. My macro is looking spectacular. TLO, in the meantime, didn't get to harass me at all. I set up a second wave of attacks at the same time. So attacking at 2 places at the same time, doing wonders on the right side, doing wonders on the left side, and TLO is about to be broken. I'm quite happy to see that the left side has been not dealt with. The right side has been defended by TLO, but he lost so much of his economy on the left side with this Fiend counterattack, and TLO types GG, and I win game number 1 of the show match, and I'm up 1-0. So this is going to be TLO's map pick right now, his loser's pick, and he will pick Jag the Maw, which is like a big desert map, which has some interesting features that no other maps have. First of all, it definitely is short by air. As you can see, it's top right, I'm going to be playing Infernals again, bottom right is going to be TLO. So yeah, short by air distance, key features of this map. But it's still passable through small units like Lancers, Fiends, Dogs, or Scouts. Can move through the trees that are in the middle of the map. You can move through the right side, but otherwise you have to move through the left side of the map with like brutes, hedgehogs, or yeah, just any bigger unit. You have resources camp close to your base, but this is the second key feature on this map, the siege camps, which are being protected by chickens and deers. Of course, this is just a placeholder model, and what it does is after defeating that siege camp, you basically get a catapult for yourself, which automatically moves to the other side of the map like a siege unit. It does area of effect damage and immediately attacks nearby units immediately, automatically I should say. There's two of them, one on each side. The middle of the map is like protected by bigger trees, which are not passable by smaller units, but you can destroy them with either workers or Magmadons from my side doing the charge ability, or Vulcans from the Vanguard ability, or just workers as well. TLO is trying to steal this camp. You get a little bit of resources for each camp you defeat, but for the resource camp it's a bit more. So I noticed that TLO was trying to snipe this resource camp with his scout, so I waited a little bit with my brute to make sure that I don't get it stolen. After I see that TLO has overcommitted with the scout, I again split my brute into the fiends, and I chase down the scout, destroying it. One little mechanic for these fiends, my units, the speed zerglings, if you will, they lose HP over time if they are not on Shroud. Well, even if they are on Shroud, they still lose HP, but you can keep them alive on Shroud, which is like the creep equivalent of the Infernal. So yeah, once you have these fiends, they will eventually die. They lose 1% of hit points per second. And they have a small amount of HP, so they die relatively quickly, but not super quick. You can still make some stuff happen once they are in the outside zone of the Shroud. So I go across the map immediately with these fiends, try to find some damage, somewhat similar to game number 1, trying to poke my opponent as much as possible, making use of these fiends if they, because they will eventually die. So just poking here and there, making sure that my opponent is pulling workers, and if you pull workers, that means they are losing a little bit of money, so that's what I'm trying to do here. In the meantime, I did expand to the third base much faster this time. I didn't commit to multiple brutes like I did in game number 1, simply because of the map layout. It would take me a much longer amount of time to walk around with my brutes and then reinforce with the fiends, so because of the map size, the map layout, I decided to switch my strategy to get my third base much faster. Now, after securing my third base, I split about like 4 or 5 brutes, I think, to fiends, and I move across the map through the right side. As you can see, I can move through here with my small units. These trees are passable through the small units, so I go here and I do more harassment to my opponents, also trying to scout what TLO is doing. I immediately see the Lancer is a little bit out of position, so I try to surround it, but Bob Overcharge has been activated, and like I mentioned, you basically have to run away. So I keep scouting with the fiends while macroing behind it, stacking up to Gaunts, stacking up to Magmadons. I see the third base is being built. I try to kill a Bob. I successfully do so. Try to do some damage on the command center. I'm not intending to kill it. I know I don't have enough DPS here. Just trying to put attention away from my opponent, just to mess up the macro or something. Since the fiends are about to die, I try to get the resource camp, but the DPS is not good enough here. The Hedgehog comes out of the mech bay also in a perfect time for TLO, and he gets the resource camp as I helped him to do so. Now I'll be using some brutes on the left side, some brutes on the right side, while also macroing behind us. Now you can see the big units cannot pass through. I specifically tried to show you guys that in the show, so now I split them and now I can move with the fiends. And on the left side I'm going to take the vision camp and try to harass my opponent on the right side once again. So I'm using the small units on the right side to distract my opponent, while also trying to find some map control on the left side. I forgot to take this vision camp, by the way. You could see this. There's this little orb right there. If you want to collect the vision camp, you have to take it. So I kind of forgot about it, but it turned out well. You'll see in just a moment. The fiends did some damage here. I got the Lancer in the meantime. I'm also moving on the left side of the map with my couple of brutes. So I'm attacking in multiple places at the same time. Once again, I attack my workers. Now you can see the Bob Overcharge is actually surrounding my brute. I didn't see this one. I didn't split my brute into the fiends. Little mistake by me, but not that big of a deal. I got a Bob for that, which is kinda okay. And in the meantime, of course, I am again macroing behind this, adding additional production structures, upgrading my units. I save my brute, well, not brute, but I save my units to the fiends. I split them, and now I gather the little orb in here, and I get the vision camp, giving me vision of both siege camps. So now I see that TLO is also not taking the siege camp, so I don't need to worry about. You kind of have to respect the catapult pushes on this map. The catapults are quite strong, but I see that TLO is not opting for that, so I feel quite safe. In the meantime, I am producing 2, I think they're called Twilight Spires, which gives me air units. And now, after I think I scouted multiple barracks from TLO with my fiend harassment, and I noticed that this time my opponent is not going for mass hedgehogs, and hedgehogs are a very good anti-air unit. And since he went for a lot of lancers, which are the melee unit for the Vanguard, I noticed that he will have little to no anti-air. So I wanted to check the strength of the Spriggan, the air unit of the Infernals, and since this is a close-by air map, I thought that I might do some harassment with that. And I'm trying to keep this information hidden from my opponent, so I'm producing these units in my expansion and not rallying them immediately across the map. Now, one cool thing that TLO does here is he's sending his dog here to the siege camp, and he notices my entire army is coming to the siege camp as I'm trying to collect it, and immediately as he realizes that, he's going for a counterattack on the left side of the map. I don't see this, and I am going to be caught a little bit off guard because of that. I don't think I'll be losing too much here, but this is still a very cool move by Dario, by TLO, as I'm trying to take a 4th base in the meantime. Yeah, there's the catapult. It's also a placeholder model, so don't scream. I lose both of my structures, the shrine and the meat farm. I have to retreat with my imps, so I'm not mining for a long time. But my reinforcements are coming in, and TLO is forced to retreat as I'm trying to prepare my first catapult push off this map. I also confirmed with this attack that my opponent was doing that he is indeed going for a lot of Lancers with the upgrade. The Lancers are very, very tanky units, very hard to kill. But once again, I'm going for the air units in the meantime for the Spriggans. I will try to set up the attack in a way that I attack from the left side with the catapult, and the Spriggans are going to be reinforcing through the air, through the middle of the map. I like how TLO is trying to buy himself time. Notice how he's microing his Lancers one at a time. Baiting the catapult shot and then moving away from it. Remember, the Lancer upgrade gives you attack speed and movement speed, so they can kind of dodge the catapult shot. So far TLO is delaying this attack to his base for a long time, which is quite nicely done. He barely lost a unit here, and he's simply retreating as I try to push forward. Now, because of that, he got himself additional Lancers, couple of medtechs, and yeah, I'm pushing forward. In the meantime, I am taking a 4th base, and here are the Spriggans. A surprise element for my opponent. He has little to no anti-air. Here, a couple of bruised hedgehogs, couple of exos here, which are kind of like the Marines on the right side. They're kind of like the Marines, but not as strong, especially not in low numbers. I have 4 Spriggans to 4 Spriggans to 2 exos, so I'm quite happy about that. I also use the global ability of the shrine, of the Shroud Stone, which is the tower of the Infernals. And there's a mechanic which is called, I think it's Animus called, and it basically collects as the units are dying, so equal to amounts of supply dead in a fight, no matter where on the map it is. And then you can use the summoning spells of the Shroud Stone. It has 4 of them, and one of them has like a global range, and one of these is like an infest, which infests an area of choice. And it infests the units inside of it, which is similar. Well, it works in the same way that the Ghost Infest works. It spawns fiends out of the dead units. It's a global ability with a 10-second cooldown. Very strong, definitely, at the moment. But it doesn't do much if the units are not dying. It deals, I think, couple of, I don't know the exact amount of damage it does, but it does some damage over time. It also decreases the vision of the units. Anyway, moving forward, now Dario has switched to Bio, full Exos, full Lancer. He has a very good amount of army, plus the medtechs to heal his army, and I feel like my army is not that strong. I think at that time, I don't remember if I had the Gaunt upgrade. I don't think I had it yet. It builds quite slow, so I'm just trying to buy myself time, see if I can trade somehow, some way here. Oh, I did have the Gaunt upgrade. My guns are indeed upgraded, so I thought this is the right time to attack, but the TLO's reinforcements coming in. I barely kill a unit here while losing quite a lot, so I am retreating while also doing some reinforcements. And TLO is pushing forward. I see he's moving to a side of the left side of the map. I notice he has no way out, so I split all of my brutes and try to surround TLO here. I know I have a reinforcing Magmadon, which will stun a lot of his units. And this is a very good fight for me, even though TLO has a decent position here with the Exos, you know, fighting in a clumped up area with ranged units. I still had enough for him to not win this fight, and he also didn't have anywhere to kite anymore, so I win this fight, and I also got some free fiends here because of the Gaunt upgrade and the Infest ability. I noticed that he lost his pretty much entire army. I am on 4 bases. I didn't lose the base. I barely lost an imp there. Imp are the workers for the Infernals. So I tried to slowly push forward, get the map control, and see what we can get done with my next set of units. I brought to my army the Harbingers, the flying units. This is like the dropship the Infernals, but you cannot load units inside of it while it's in the air. You kind of have to like deploy it on the ground, and while it's deployed on the ground, it also produces this shroud, which gives you the white health that you can see of the Infernals. This is like the shields, basically, of the race, and it quickly regenerates it while the units are on the shroud. So I set both of these Harbingers up here to regenerate the white health. I try to find some damage, but the position and wall off is pretty good by TLO. My units kind of get blocked. My Magmadons are not doing that well. I'm trying to force like an overcharge or something. I want to see what is going on. There's the Weaver, which has like the ability to abduct or like yoink the units towards you and deal some portion of damage. So pretty good to use against important targets like Vulcans or Medtechs. It's very slow, but has a lot of HP. Lots of Fiends are being produced of the dead units of TLO. But I have to retreat, wait for my reinforcements. Right now I'm set up very nicely. I'm about to have a 5th base on the right side of the map with double expansion. I split some of my units to the right side and split some units to the left side to attack at 2 places at the same time. It's much harder to attack. And I also just yoinked the Vulcan towards my army, but the Vulcan retreats. Once again, I'm using the Gaunt upgrades, the stim of the Gaunts, using the Global Infest onto the TLO's army. The Lancers are quite hard to deal with, but since there are not many Vulcans, I feel like I can take this engagement quite nicely. I also reinforce with the Spriggans, and Spriggans have this attack where they attack 3 times at the same time, like and each attack decreases the attack speed or the production of the unit. So you can use the Spriggans to slow down the production of the Vanguard or your opponent, or attack speed of the turrets or the key units. So it's important to use the Spriggans, for example, on Vulcans to slow down their attack speed, or the turrets, which are quite difficult to deal with as well. I see there's plenty of Lancers coming up, even though I thought I'm pushing through. There's so many Lancers here that it's hard for me to deal with this army. But I have Magmadons, which are very tanky. I charge forward for the Vulcans. The Gaunts are doing their thing. The Spriggans are also doing their thing, slowing down the ability. My reinforcements are coming in, and I'm about to break TLO. In here, I feel quite confident in my position. I barely got harassed again by TLO, and I'm fully saturated on 4 bases. The 5th base is about to be saturated if I decide to do so. I definitely could have macroed a little bit better. I think I didn't produce that many imps in here, but I broke through the defenses of TLO. One important thing is definitely the shroud, the offensive shroud. This was the first time that I did it versus TLO, but it helped me quite a lot to save my units from low HP, and I win the show match 2-0. Now I face the Warcraft 3 legend Moon in the next best of 3. A bit of backstory versus Moon, by the way. I had no idea how good he is. I talked to TLO, I played with TLO before that, so I briefly knew how good TLO is, but versus Moon, I had zero information whatsoever. I even asked the developers before the show match, do you know how good Moon is? And nobody really knew, so I came into this match completely blind, and I tried my best to estimate his level after game number 1. So it's going to be a mirror show match of Infernal versus Infernal. One thing to note that in the top side there is the little mistake by the production team. The entire show match, or the entire game number 1 show match, was cast on reverse. I am on the bottom left and Moon is in the top right. So poor Tasteless and Artosis were casting the entire game thinking that I am top right and Moon is bottom left, and it was quite funny to listen to after I watched it for the first time. So in Infernal versus Infernal, I decided to go for fast expansion even before the Iron Vault. I think, and from my experience, I had little to no trouble always going for Shrine first, which is the main building, just the expansion building, and I never lost to any kind of cheese. So I was wondering if one is going to be trying to do something against that or not. In the meantime, I am immediately going for 3 Iron Vaults to make sure that if there is some kind of cheese coming, I will be able to defend with superior production. The thing is about Infernals, they work kind of like Zergs in StarCraft 2, where you sacrifice your worker to create a building. So even though I am, you know, playing the shrine first, I still invest my imps, my workers, to produce the iron vaults. So my economy is not super great, but it's okay, and I do believe that my build order kind of makes sense, and I think I am kind of safe against any kind of cheeses or all-ins that could happen in the early stages of the game. I walk out of my very first 2 brutes, and at this moment I saw in the middle of the map that the resourcer camps were already taken, and I'm just moving with my units in there. So I'm thinking, holy crap, maybe Moon is really good at this game, and I need to be very careful. He already took the camps before I arrived with my brutes, so it's either I'm very slow, or he went for an iron vault first and just prioritized going over the resources camps, and I thought it's definitely the latter. He went for the resources camps first. And this is the first funny moment where Artosis and Tasteless think this is Moon surrounding my brute.
Unit sets here as well, and in fact, look at that surround. That is Moon for you right there.
The Warcraft
instantly
micro
surrounding that brute.
So it was indeed me surrounding Moon, and I got the brute pretty much for free. So okay, let's try to find some damage on the other side of the map, test how good Moon indeed is, test his multitasking. So I come here with the first 3 brutes, and okay, this is like free damage for me. But in the meantime, I didn't notice that Moon is also counter-attacking me with the brutes as I am taking a 3rd base, and I did not notice that. So I'm focused so much here on the micro of my fiends, walking around, trying to kill an imp here and there, that I forgot to cancel my shrine, and Moon got a 400 money, 400 luminite kill. And this is the first time that I see those brutes. I forgot about canceling the base, so I defend that, and I still have lots of fiends here. I got a couple of imps here and there, so I'm doing quite well multitasking wise, other than losing that shrine. I'm killing a couple of imps. I am not taking any damage on my side of the map. I have plenty of imps to saturate my 3rd base, which would be done by now, but of course again Moon in the meantime did get that kill on that base, so that slowed me down a bit. I'm still walking around as much as possible with my fiends, trying to out-multitask my opponent as much as possible, get to scout what he is doing. I see 2 iron vaults only, I have 3, which means that I have a stronger building capability, so I try to reinforce with my brutes and with the fiends as soon as possible. I'm checking if he has a 3rd base on this side of the map. I forgot that on this map there is also a base on the right side of the natural expansion, or on the left side from my side, that would be, and that is protected by the trees. So if you like destroy the trees, you are able to get to that expansion very quickly, because otherwise it is blocked by the trees. And I forgot about the situations. I didn't scout that Moon indeed does have a 3rd base on the right side of the map, and I thought that I'm perfectly fine trading in here with my brutes versus the brutes of my opponent, because I am going to my 3rd base much faster than my opponent. So I was more confident than I should be in this position, I think. The brute's damage is pretty nice, and I see I have a decent position to fight brute versus brute. However, his brutes had a little bit more white health, so it was hard for me to trade properly. I tried to split my brutes at the last second to the fiends, and split them to the other side of the map. Split them to the main base of Moon and deal just more damage to him, while also macroing behind this, taking a 3rd base, creating workers, making more production facilities, and upgrading my units as well. So for now, I do think that I'm controlling the game. I think I'm quite ahead in this moment because I have a 3rd base. I don't even see a Moon's 3rd base, but once again, it comes down to scouting that I forgot about the base on the right side, and Moon's base is already out there and happily mining. Not fully saturated, but happily mining. So I thought I'm further ahead than I actually am. In the meantime, I definitely took control of the map. 3 iron vaults to 2. I also saw that Moon has upgraded his main building, this one exactly, to a greater shrine, which allows you to create the upgrade buildings for Gaunt upgrade, for the Brute upgrade, and the Magmadons. Now this is the first time that I see this expansion. I see only 4 workers here that are rallied, and so I'm quite happy about that, because my 3rd base has been mining. But at least now I get to see that exactly the exact position of the 3rd base, because I thought that Moon is going to be taking the 12 o'clock base, but he didn't do that. I see Moon for the first time moving across the map with his units. He has the superior health in this fight, so I don't want to fight here. But he's chasing me, and I'm like, why are you chasing me? So I'm bringing my reinforcements with me. I'm trying to split my brute, because he split his. And now I can surround his brutes with my fiends and block his units from retreating. So he's forced to retreat with this army. He splits his brutes to the fiends, and I got a bit of damage down here. I also got the superior brute numbers, so let's try to go to the right side of the map. I saw that he retreated to the north side, so I thought a little bit of that I have a bit of time to do some damage. And this is the moment where I thought, okay, maybe I'm making a mistake, but this is a show match, let's do a show thing. So I split all of my brutes to fiends, and then I tried to get this expansion. It's very close. His reinforcements are coming, but at least I get the shrine. It was not very cost efficient. Like I split like I don't know 8-9 brutes there, and each brute cost 100 luminite, and the shrine also cost 400 luminite. So I think it was not cost efficient, but at the very least it was a cool show match thing to show, you know, the speed, the decision making of splitting all of your brutes. In the meantime, Moon also has expanded to his third base at a, let's say, the standard location, which gives you only gold, the luminite. It doesn't have the therium around it. So that's why the right side expansion that I just sniped was quite important for me, because it does have both luminite and therium at the same time, both of the resources in Stormgate. So now, after losing so many fiends, I thought that maybe I'm not in that great of a spot, because that was a big portion of my army. But I still think that my third base was mining for quite a long time, so I can produce my units eventually and catch up to the army supply of Moon. It's much more important to have a good position of the fight, because on Infernal versus Infernal, I think Magmadons are very, very strong unit, but a lot of the time it comes down to Fiend versus Fiend from the Infest. Where basically when you're infesting an enemy fiend, your own fiend is going to come out of that. So I think Gaunts are quite an important unit in this matchup as well. But the thing is, Magmadons have this area of effect damage, where after each third attack of the Magmadon, you deal a big portion around it. I'm trying to secure this fourth base on the left side of the map, but Moon does spot it. I think my army is looking quite strong, but I'm not exactly sure in what position in this game currently am, because of the amount of fiends and brutes that I lost in trying to snipe his base. I see that Moon has lots of fiends here, so I'm not really sure about his composition. He doesn't show me much, but he snipes my imps, and yeah, I cannot expand to the fourth base. Meanwhile, Moon is on the four bases. So I try to find some damage, but I see that I'm getting kind of flanked in here. I use the speed upgrade on the guns immediately to retreat from the Magmadon sniping. I do have lots of guns in here and brutes to tank the damage. Moon doesn't have any guns in here, so I do have the infest advantage, and as his units are dying, my infest is working wonders, and I get lots of fiends from the dead army of Moon, and now is my time to push forward. I barely lost a unit here. Brutes are pretty damn good versus Magmadons. I also got a very good positioning from my guns after Moon charged all of his Magmadons, so I didn't lose many of them. You need 3 charges of Magmadons to like one-shot a Gaunt, because it does play, I think it makes 60 damage or something. Now with the production, Moon is capable of defending his natural base, but he had to retreat from his third base. I don't want to split my army too much. I know I do have some reinforcements coming in as well. And Moon types GG, and I win game number 1 of the show match. And now the casters thought that this is actually Moon winning game number 1. That was quite a funny situation. Alright, now we're moving to game number 2 of the grand finals. Of course, I cannot blame the casters for not knowing which player is which. It's up to the production crew to show the correct players, especially in a mirror matchup. They did their job the best that they could. I thought it was just very, very funny to see after I beat Moon, and they're waiting for the loser's pick, and they're like, "Hey man, what's the map?" I'm like, "I'm not the one picking the map. It's Moon who should be." It's like, you won? It was just a very funny situation to see, like a lot of confusion. But yeah, anyway, let's move on to the game number 2 versus Moon. I'm in the bottom left side of the map. Moon is on the top right of the map, and this time After I was watching this cast, this game from the replay, I noticed that Moon has adapted to my strategy. He copied my shrine first into the free Iron Vault build because he, I guess, thought that his build didn't really work that well in game number 1. So we were both expanding very quickly, basically before any kind of production facility. Somewhat similar to Zerg versus Zerg. I think the early game of Infernal versus Infernal can be somewhat similar to Zerg versus Zerg, where Fiends are the speed Zerglings, and lots of things can happen in the early game. However, I think if both players are opening up with the same production facilities, like we are here, 3 Iron Vaults to 3 Iron Vaults, I think the defender's advantage is quite big, because the Infernal units, once they are not on Shroud, they are periodically losing the white health over time. So that means that once you travel across the map, pretty much all of your white health is gone, while your opponent is actually gathering the white health while on Shroud. So the defender's advantage is quite big in Stormgate, I would say, in Infernal versus Infernal, especially in the early game. So after game number 1 versus Moon, I kind of could estimate his skill level. I still didn't know if it was everything that he shown, but at least I knew that, or at least I thought that I am a little bit faster than him. So I wanted to use my multitasking the best of my abilities. I wanted to do something quickly and strongly, and we will see how this is going to go. I am opening up the Tyrium. I don't know what's it called. You kind of see this kind of thing that opens up Tyrium for you. I was attacking it with the Brute. Then once you destroy that, it starts, blossoming. The Tyrium starts growing. In the meantime, Moon and me are both going for very similar beginnings. We're both destroying the vision camps as soon as possible. Moon is doing this with 3 brutes. I'm doing this with 2. I think my economy may be slightly better with maybe additional 1 or 2 imps. Not a big deal. Now, once I got the 4 brutes, and like I said, I wanted to test the multitasking of Moon. I'm going across the map with my first attack. I didn't know where army of Moon is, but I wanted to do for sure is to avoid the vision. You can see this little blue thing next to my brutes. That's the vision from the vision camp. So I wanted to make sure to avoid it with my brutes. But Moon is already on my side of the map as well, but I'm here faster. I don't know where his army is, so I'm kind of hesitant about actually committing to the attack, because I don't know if I'm getting surrounded or not. I split a lot of my reinforcing brutes to Fiends to make sure that the brutes, which is a slower unit, immediately reinforces, or not immediately, but very quickly reinforces to the brutes. So I'm attacking him in the natural expansion, and now he's attacking in my natural expansion. So this is a micro battle now by both of us. I have barely any defenses here, so I'm trying to retreat to my meat farms, gather the white health from my brutes, but he has like 6 brutes. Here I have around 4 brutes on his side of the map, while also having Fiends here as well. I think the defense is going quite well for Moon, but I did kill lots of imps in here, so I think my economy is going quite well and better than my opponent, even though we are trading like brute for brute, and there's a micro on both sides of the map. You can see I have 12 workers here out of 12 in the Tyrium mine, while Moon had only 6. So I noticed that I'm a bit ahead economically, and I defended quite well, while also still leaving some of my Fiends in his main base, checking for the economy. I noticed that he has still not mined any Luminite here. Wait, Tyrium. Tyrium is the gas. I keep mixing that one. It's Tyrium and Luminite. Luminite is the gold and Tyrium is the gas. In the meantime, I did secure my 3rd base. Moon this time did not get to cancel it like he did in a previous game. So that was definitely a big victory for me, big economical lead. And I'm again trying to see if there is a 3rd base for Moon. I was waiting for him to set up a shrine to make sure that I actually kill the shrine as it's building, or at least force him to cancel so he would lose more money. But Moon notices that I am doing that, so he just retreated with his imp and didn't actually create a building there. A nice counterattack from Moon this time. I completely unnoticed. He went to my main base with around like 6 to 8 Fiends, and I lost half of my middle line, so I did not feel that comfortable in this game. However, I still remember that I have a 3rd base faster than my opponent, which makes me think that I am in not a bad economical spot whatsoever. I think both of us cannot really do much to each other. So I'm just trying to build as many as possible. Nice surround here by Moon, but I don't trade too poorly here. I also kill some of his fiends. It's like, I don't know, 7 fiends to like 5 fiends. Just a little skirmish here of small units. I kept patrolling this fiend around here to make sure that there's no expansion for Moon. I think Moon didn't see that I have expanded to this base, to like the kind of surrounded by trees base, which is more... It's harder to defend once the trees are open, but since there are no Magmadons and I see that he has not been using imps to destroy the trees, I was safe for the time being. I already had lots of guns, and remember, I saw the timing of the third base for Moon, so I was trying to come here and try to cancel the third base of Moon once again, trying to avoid the vision of the vision camp from Moon. I noticed that he has only brutes. Here I have brutes and guns. So I'm trying to surround these brutes with my fiends. I deal some additional damage, which is starting very well. I don't want to commit too hard in here, but with the guns, I have a big DPS advantage. Now Moon used the global infest from the Shroud Stone, but I countered that with my own infest as well, so we would have equal amount of fiends if we would be fighting. So he retreats, so I get a cancel on his third base, and I'm feeling fantastic. Now this is a counter-attack with the fiends that I am not going to be seeing. I thought that I won the fight quite convincingly. I saw that he has no guns here, and this is something that I completely missed. The counter-attack of fiends on my side of the map. I'm fully focused here on this attack here. I see no guns, I see only one Shroud Stone from Moon, so I think I have a very good chance of just ending the game right here. In the meantime, the fiends are actually attacking my natural base and my main base. You will notice a smile on my face in around, I don't know, 20 or 30 seconds. And this is because I just noticed that I am losing my entire middle line to these fiends. I'm still fighting, completely focused on this. I didn't get like this you're under attack or anything like that. So yeah, I'm still thinking like my economy is super well. I'm winning the main fight. I'm just focused here completely. The imps are trying to run away, trying to get a surround on me. I still have no upgrade on these guns. I should have it somewhat soon, but I do have the global infest, which works in my favor as well. I see Moon is barely holding on, but I do see a Magmadon, so I need to be a bit careful in here. I do kill lots of workers from Moon. I was so focused on the attack that I really forgot about the macro. Yeah, look at my camera right now. I'm going to be smiling. I'm smiling right now because my main base is literally empty right now. I have 0 workers in my main base, and it was attacked by like 1 or 2 fiends, so like equivalent to 1 or 2 Zerglings destroying your entire middle line. The casters thought that I'm smiling because, oh, I'm about to win a show match, I'm about to win the game, that I feel, you know, the heat of the moment. But I was just laughing at myself to make such a blunder for such a long time, because it took like, I don't know, a minute or two for this fiend to clear up my middle line, and I completely missed that. I was so focused on the main attack. Luckily for me, it didn't matter that much. I killed the third base of Moon, and I had my third base of my own. So even though I lost my entire middle line to a couple of fiends, I still was very fine economically. I keep pushing forward, I keep reinforcing Moon type CG, and I win the show match 2-0, becoming the first official Stormgate World Champion of the ESL Showdown in Atlanta. Now this lady was telling me, okay, you're gonna have an interview with Rachel and then you will lift the trophy. I actually didn't know there is a trophy for me. So after I realized that this trophy is actually for the winner of the show match, I really wanted to make sure that I'm going to win the match.
We're going to throw it over to the stage now with Rachel to see how Mana's feeling.
Thank you so much. Mana is feeling like a wonderful and honorable competitor because he ran over to give Moon a handshake right before we hopped into this interview, but now...
Hello.
Hello. Mana, welcome. Congratulations, the very first champion of the on-stage major esport that is to be Stormgate. So, tell me, how does it feel?
Amazing feeling, actually. I remember starting my career in StarCraft 2 beta, I enjoyed all the show matches. I always wanted to be like part of like the battle report that we had for StarCraft 2. So now, for the first time, to be in the stage for Stormgate, to make history here as a player, and also not only just be part of it, but actually win it all. It's an amazing feeling for sure.
Congratulations, Mana. It is well earned.
Fun fact, I actually couldn't hear the actual question that Rachel asked me here, so I was just trying to read the lips, and I thought that I'm answering the correct question, but I had no clue what I'm talking about, so I think that was a funny situation. It was very loud in there, and I couldn't hear the question properly, so I completely missed the point.
You talked about your history in StarCraft before this. Tell me how that led to you getting involved into Stormgate at such an early stage.
It definitely helps a lot to get like a lot of multitasking from StarCraft 2. It feels very similar, the way that the game plays out. Yeah, I could feel that I was kind of like out multitasking Moon here and there, so it felt quite nice. So it feels to be like a relatively even game here compared to StarCraft 2. And yeah, like the way that we started it off, like the first closed alpha test, then the beta test and so on, like the game is progressing in such a nice state, and it feels like an actual RTS is on the horizon.
Well, and for you to stand here as our champion, you talked about making history, and now at such a high mark. How are you going to top this? You plan on sticking with Stormgate? What's your future look like?
Well, it depends, of course. Like, I'll try to play StarCraft 2 and Stormgate at the same time. We will see how the future looks like for the Stormgate tournaments. I will definitely be actively playing the game, testing it, and trying to make it the best game possible. So far, I do enjoy it, but I'll obviously still compete in StarCraft 2.
Well, Mana, it is so exciting to be able to do this, but I would like to invite you now to place down your microphone and hoist for the first time.
Let's go.
The very first Stormgate trophy. Big congratulations and much respect to Mana and of course Moon and TLO, who came out and showed us an incredible range on Stormgate, and the game is just getting started. Thank you also to our developers who came out and shared their perspective, their insight. It's been a real treat to get a closer look at Stormgate, and it's been a real treat, Mana, to crown you the champion. So for now, thank you for watching. Stick around for more Stormgate news on their socials, and we'll see you later from DreamHack.